How goes it, everyone? Corey James here with an outrageous yet valid question about our ancient past. And here's the thing, despite the fantastic nature of this question, it comes from the world of academia and the answer is found there too. Let's get to it. According to scholars, archaeologists, and modern accepted theory, the origins of human civilization started within the Fertile Crescent, beginning with the Sumerians in ancient Mesopotamia, followed shortly by the Egyptians in ancient Egypt. Now, in both Egypt and Sumer, archaeologists have discovered a quote-unquote king's list, and in both cases, scholars use said king's list as the basis for the chronology of kings and overall timeline for each civilization. However, in both cases, each of the kings listed prior to 3000 BC, scholars consider to be mythical or symbolic, which brings me to my question, why? And in order for us to answer that question, we need to first understand the king's list. So let's do that with a quick 20-second breakdown. The Sumerian Kings List is a collection of several ancient tablets listing the dynasty of kings and when they ruled, which begins with the antediluvian rulers, or those who ruled before the flood, including the lengths of years they ruled, which ranged from 18,000 to 43,000 years. The Turin Kings List, or Egyptian royal canon, consists of 160 fragments of an ancient papyrus scroll that lists every king and pharaoh up until Ramses II. Broken up into 11 columns, the first two list the first kings of Egypt, like Osiris and Horus, who ruled over Egypt nearly 34,000 years ago. Now, let's forget about the whole myth and symbolism thing for a minute and let's just look at this from a logical point of view. Both the Sumerian Kings List and the Egyptian Royal Canon are considered by scholars to be an accurate account of legitimate kings and pharaohs that actually ruled over their respective lands during the pre-dynastic and early dynastic times, having verified many of the names on each Kings List with archaeological discoveries of temples, texts, and artifacts. So, if 90% of each Kings List has been verified to be 100% accurate, why wouldn't the other 10% be accurate as well?
We see all the timelines and all the kings were there, but the first two groups of names on that list were gods. The gods of Egypt, who they believed ruled before the kings.
Now, according to the scholars, the answer to said question is simple. The addition of these so-called mythical kings was to show a connection between the actual kings and the gods. But here's the problem with that. No, it wasn't. Why? Because the ancient Sumerians and Egyptians didn't know what a myth was. In fact, they probably didn't even know what symbolism was because, well, why would they? Both of these words are modern day terms added to modern day linguistics in the 17th and 19th century. More specifically, the first use of the word symbolism doesn't appear until 1654 when it was added to the dictionary, and the word myth doesn't appear until 1830 when it too was added to the dictionary, being borrowed from the Greek word mythos, which translates to utterance, speech, discourse, tale, or narrative. Fiction, legend, and of obscure origin was our addition.
When you go into mythology, when you go into the Star People tales, when you go into the Anunnaki, it is the sameness, the similarity around the planet that makes you say something has to be responsible for the same dreams, the same mythology, the same idea that life came from the stars.
Now, all of that being said, it is only fair to point out the best argument from the scholars. They've actually found evidence for the kings listed after 3000 BC, but they have found none for those listed prior to 3000 BC, the ones they consider a myth, which is 100% fair and a logical point that frankly I just can't argue with. That being said, if you remove the word myth and read the ancient stories from both the Sumerians and the Egyptians and, well, pretty much every other ancient culture that has ever existed, they not only mirror the exact same tale, but explain why we have found no evidence for the early kings, or gods, existence.
Once all the creator gods have done their job with creating the world they would meet with their big bird and ascend to the sky. Ancient Egyptians believed with all their heart that everything listed and inscribed on these walls are true, true, true.
My overall point, everything our ancient ancestors wrote down from both Sumer, Egypt, and abroad to them was 100% true. So why is it so hard to believe that if we can verify 90% of that story to be true, the other 10% wouldn't be true as well? Again, I feel like it's a valid question to ask, albeit a fantastic one. But what do you think? Is this a valid question to ask? Maybe even considered to be true? Or is it, as the scholars say, nothing but myths and legends? How's it going, everybody? Corey James here. Just wanted to say thank you for checking out the video. I very much hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, do the little guy a favor. Hit the buttons, the like, the subscribe. If you're feeling a little frisky, hit that notification bell. Leave me some comments, suggestions on future videos. Do it all. Once again, thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.